lovely, and I might want to say very brave. Well, this is such a difficult sonata, isn't it? I think one can argue whether 101 or 106 is the most difficult of all 32. 106 is technically more demanding and everything. It's 40 minutes long enough. But 101, maybe musically, it might be the most difficult. I don't know. I find there's something elusive about it. Just the minute you think you have it, it's over there. You know? Okay. And especially this first movement, difficult to capture. So, but just a few thoughts to point you along the way. First of all, do keep in mind, he wrote etwas lebhaft und mit der innigsten Empfindung. I assume you know what that means. But he did not write mit der innigsten Empfindung und etwas lebhaft, meaning that he wrote etwas lebhaft first, okay? So more important was that there should be this, he used the noun form, Lebhaftigkeit, the animatedness. Somewhat lebhaft, we can't overdo it, obviously. And where does the lebhaft come from? It's often good to try to have a concrete musical source to help us, okay? And I think it comes from one aspect of the rhythm, which is the entire piece has this bottom, 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 this 3-1, 6-1, 3-1. Sometimes it's tied over, but this lilting, rocking engine. Okay. And whenever we have this rhythm, whether it's this or whether it's a lullaby or a waltz, if we are exactly mathematically precise and we play yum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, well, that's okay. But I think we get the sense of the lilt and the swing if we do more yum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, where the upbeats are a little bit late and a little bit quickly leading to the next bar, okay? So therefore, the first bar even doesn't necessarily have to be exactly T. Give us, and if we feel that back here, now of course he didn't simply write, I'm sorry? Okay, yeah. He also didn't write mit inniger Empfindung, which would mean with inner feeling, but he wrote mit der innigsten Empfindung, with the most innig sentiment, okay, the most possible. So these are almost contradictory things, etwas lebhaft, and yet mit der innigsten Empfindung, okay? And that takes a certain juggling of the mind and of the soul to get that mixture. But it's something, again, that you can think about, away from the piano. Okay. Now, another couple of things I want to throw in your direction. One is simply, there are a few places you have to, the later in Beethoven you go, the more slavishly we have to follow every last dynamic and expression mark that he writes. Okay, so a few things were changed or missing or things like that. For example, you made a crescendo here, and then he asked, in fact, for a diminuendo. Okay, because I think this phrase, comes to here, and then goes. Crescendo. Okay. And composers, especially Beethoven, make a big difference between writing hairpins up and down and the words crescendo, diminuendo, which are bigger events. So you can really make a good size crescendo and then back. Okay. At the end, the ritardando has dashes, so you have to keep progressively slowing down. All the way to the end. Okay, you started to slow down, but then you kind of gave up and went back into tempo. Okay, so this kind of thing we have, and also molto espressivo. It's interesting, Opus 109, the last movement, the theme is marked andante, and then the first variation is marked molto espressivo. Molto espressivo, I really believe, means it's so intensely expressive that it invites or almost even begs for almost a kind of a stretching of the tempo a little bit, okay? So you went a little faster, I would suggest almost going, not really going slower, but okay. So that's another thing. And the other thing is the fortes in this piece. Right now they're sounding a little bit angry, okay? And you want, there are a million fortes, right? You can have a joyful forte, an angry forte, a pleading forte, a gentle forte. Okay, so the fortes in this piece should be warm, friendly fortes. There was this great conductor by the name of Kurt Zonderling, a German conductor who conducted in what was then the Soviet Union, but then he came to the West and conducted a lot, and he conducted the LA Phil a lot, and I got to go to his rehearsals, and he had this very thick German accent. And he would say to the orchestra a lot of times, please, a friendly forte, a joyful forte. Okay, so, even that's a little more intense, but even here, it shouldn't be a stormy, like that kind of thing. Just be loose with the arms and make sure that the attack doesn't get too sharp. Okay. Okay. Also very interesting, by the way, the top of this crescendo goes to mezzo forte. Okay. Now we in the 21st or even 20th century, we see mezzo forte and half loud. That's a perfectly normal thing. But here's a little trivia question. In the 32 sonatas of Beethoven, before Opus 101, where do we find mezzo forte? You have to go all the way back to Opus 2, number 2, second sonata. Okay, there's one mezzo forte in the last one. Okay, for whatever reason, he didn't use mezzo forte hardly at all. Okay, so he's saying here that the crescendo is not so huge. Mezzo forte should stay until he writes diminuendo. Okay. Trivia question number 2, when does he use mezzo piano? Anybody in the gallery have any guesses? When does Beethoven first use mezzo piano in a piano sonata? The first one is actually the last sonata, Opus 111. Okay. So he didn't like or he didn't use mezzo piano, Okay, so just to show you, he writes out the word mezzo piano. Well, not too soft is what he's saying. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Okay. Okay. So etwas lebhaft mit der innigsten Empfindung. Let's try at the beginning with that. The fermata there is on the chord. There's no rest actually. So stay in the key, and like almost any Beethoven fermata, listen to that chord. F sharp minor, relative minor. Wow, isn't that amazing? And from there we do. Okay. Also, this is 4-part texture, right? 4 voices. We want to hear all 4 voices like in a string quartet, okay? And your pianists are used to playing only top voice. Okay, and if we heard a string quartet like that, you would say, yeah, what about the poor violist or the second violinist? Okay. And I think we need to have enough of the inner voices to make all 4 voices blend. That's good. Be sure to change, you have to change the pedal here, because that shouldn't be in the same pedal. Very good things you're doing already. And by the way, here you used less pedal this time, which was better. Okay. I would suggest right in time. Okay. There is a myth out there, a myth understanding that whenever we have a subito piano in Beethoven, we should wait before it, okay? And I think, yes, there are times when we should maybe you could come a split second late with that, okay? But most of the time, we should at least try to make our subito piano in tempo. It's more exciting that way. Okay, this was very nice and really sehr innig. Good. You know, it's interesting. There was this great pianist, Claude Frank, who was a student of Arthur Schnabel, great pianist in his own right, and he once said that all music is equally difficult. Some music is harder to learn, but then easier to internalize, and some of it is vice versa. Okay, this passage right here is very difficult, even though the notes are very easy to play. Okay, because it is so utterly disarmingly simple. Okay, but yet he writes espressivo e semplice, expressive and yet simple at the same time. Okay, how do we do both? Okay, I think there are two things. First of all is be sure that you play quarter notes, not a quarter notes. Okay, and the other thing is expressive and simple. It's like if you say something very deep and meaningful to somebody, like if you finally say to somebody that you love, I love you. Okay, you don't say, I love you, you know. You just kind of, or let's say you're a supervisor in a company and you bring in your errant employee and you say, you're fired. Okay. Okay, devastating in 2 words, right? Okay. No, this is not devastating, but I wouldn't be too soft. Direct and from the heart. Espressivo. Okay, so just try that. We're running out of time. Pulse in your arms. Stay in the key. Again, listen to this, okay? Now, take your time. Go ahead. False recap. Real recap. So even here, okay. All right, I guess we're probably out of time. But I think sounds like you're catching on to some of his ideas, okay? So you can, I don't know, maybe you can sing through the whole piece mentally, just thinking about etwas lebhaft, okay? And then sing through the whole piece thinking about mit der innigsten Empfindung, okay? And then try and combine those two, okay? And feel this ba-bum, 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 and that will carry you through. Okay, does that make sense? Thank you very much.